Welcome back, folks. Game number 4. Korea versus Japan. Korea is currently 3 up. Spoiler alert. You should have watched the other videos already, though. If you haven't, make sure to go check them out because they're pretty amazing. And we're going to feature a 1v1. After 2 3v3s, starting on 1v1, this could now end on a 1v1 because Korea is 3 games up, and I believe the threshold is the first to reach 4. Let's get underway, as it is going to be a 1-on-1 between Leenock and Chart here on Highview. What a beauty of a map to finish on, and especially when it features both the HRE and the Rus. So, in this situation, Leenock, remember, he is Korean, so he's representing the boys who are already 3 games up, as you can see there. Japan, on the ropes, they turn to Chart. Makes sense as well. He's the highest ranked player. Remember, the Chart has 2 accounts in the top 100. It's Risky Dice and Chart are the names of those accounts. So if anyone's going to pull this back in a 1-on-1, it's going to be him. But Chart, he opened this entire series by losing out to Kiwian in a 1-on-1. And keep in mind that Leenock vastly exceeds Kiwian consistently on the rankings. Like, Kiwian, he's pretty competitive right now. I think he's sitting like 60th. But Leenock is always in that top 30. In fact, Leenock, at the time of this battle, is ranked 8th on the 1v1 leaderboards. So he is the golden goose. He's the, trap card, right? So Chart is going to have to pull out a miracle. And Chart, he does have the option of doing so when you play as the Rus. Rus can be fantastic against HRE, especially on Highview, courtesy of the way that you can utilize hunting cabins in the stealth forests to get ridiculous amounts of returns on your initial wood investment, right? We're talking like 55 gold per minute is quite feasible. We'll see if he engages with it, though. I really don't want to just see some horse archer spam. I think horse archer spam is the way to a loss, not a victory here. I think, if anything, like, early knights could be really cool against the HRE. The reason being is, although the HRE can comfortably go into spearmen to try and counter you out, at the moment, the HRE spearmen seem to be a little bit bugged. They don't consistently brace, or at least in the last few games I've seen, they don't brace at all. I think this is something specific to HRE and 1 or 2 of the other civs. Don't know why, but yeah, the spearmen won't brace. For those wondering what a brace is, when you get charged at, your spearmen, if they stand still, they'll stick their spears out, and what that does is that keeps the cavalry out of range of committing their charge, but what it does is it initially stuns them, so they can't even attack at first, and then it roots them for an additional, like, almost 2 seconds, I think it is. So that gives you enough time to get in for an initial stab and a follow-up stab before they can even respond. So the initial stab will be when they're stunned, so they can't even attack. And then the second one, they can only attack you back because rooting stops you from running, but it doesn't stop you attacking. So advanced mechanics, basically, that just aren't there, that are meant to counter out what the Rus can do early on. And early on hunting, Chart already up to the 140 mark, and I believe he's already had the opportunity to yoink the others snatched away. So the focus now is going to be on Wolves, and look at this. Oh, this is not good for Chart. Leenock has snatched away so many Wolves already. He's dragging 3 back. This is a really popular strategy when you're up against Rus players, folks. Move around, bait the Wolves, and drag them all the way back towards your TC. And then your TC will rapid fire them all down. And yeah, you can see he even went for his second scout. So many players don't do this, and it's so underrated. Look at it right now. Leenock actually has 3 scouts. This is totally worthwhile to deny so much economy, right? Not only denying sheep that you find, that's food for you, it's also that you're denying the gold intake. And then by extension, you're then preventing him from getting these unlocks on the tiers, which gives them a quicker generation on hunt cabins and even more harvest rate on food from villages. So you're just stunting his growth entirely. And that's really cool playing as the HRE, because you can afford to sacrifice 1 or 2 villages early on in place of just producing scouts instead, because your economy is so much more efficient. Remember, the Holy Inspiration that comes out from the Prelate buffs you up 40% on gathering rates and gives you 40% capacity as well in these villages. You can see that these guys are gathering up to 14 gold, right? Or 14 on the food. It's such a powerful element of the HRE, and it's such a good generation for it as well. This is the dream, right? What he's got right now. Woodline, gold line, and then you'll probably look to just drop off food. You could even maybe put out a mill here. I wouldn't necessarily advise it. You could just play into stables and look to get some of these carcasses. We'll see if he wants to. He's playing against one of the best civs for pro scouts. Remember, the top 3 are Rus, Mongols, and China, because they all have ways of alternatively producing scouts very early on, or rapidly increasing the rate at which they produce scouts, aka Mongols with the double production with an Uvu, and then you also have China where they supervise building to increase its production rate by an extra 200%. And then when we talk second tier, I usually put France, and then it's HRE. So France, because the feudal landmark is a stable, and they get to produce those units 20% quicker, so they can build scouts quite fast. And then I'd say HRE after that, because their economy is so efficient early on, they can afford to get into stables quite easily, and they can sustain units out of it. And it could be that we even see a hard commitment into stables, especially against the Rus, and I'm a big fan of that. I love the quadruple stable drop that we've been seeing out of some high-level HRE players. I've been intrigued to see if Leenock has been influenced by it and has attempted it himself. In fact, he lost to it. I recall watching him lose to Hut. It was the first time we saw Hut do it. He was playing against Leenock's China, and Leenock was trying to eco-boom up a bit, and he got caught off guard immediately into Castle Age when he had way too many knights in his base, courtesy of the fact that Hut had dropped 4 stables and rushed him. So there's the first stable. No mill, so no intent to go Pro Scouts just yet. Pro Scouts already being researched now by Chart is going to move out. Chart with the count up to only 3. Is this a mistake? This can't be intentional. Only 3 scouts at this stage seems like a miss. He's going to try and fix this now going up 4th. Usually, I see a lot of these Rus players, they have 4, maybe sometimes even 5 before they've teched up. But he went a different way with his economy early on. And he did go on the gold, so he's going to go Knights. This feels like a Knights play. The reason why is because usually you just put people on wood and then you trade the wood with the golden gate, right? And you get a really good timing still. But the fact that he's actually invested into it, yeah, he drops the stables. He's going early Knights. This is really cool. You've got a small window though, and I wonder if this is a little bit too late. You can already see the racks being dropped. We said already about bracing not being that great. My issue is that you've gone into Knights, but you haven't actually extended with hunting cabins. You're missing such a big trick as the Rus here. And an archery range, I think that's stretching it. I think archery range, double archery range and the stables, it's an interesting idea of a composition. I just don't know if you're going to be strong enough, quick enough to prevent Leenock from going for his Castle Age timing. You can see he almost has the gold required. He's getting into the food pretty heavily now. Rax is producing a few spearmen to cover him. He's going to be a little bit vulnerable when it comes to switching over into farmlands, and that's why he switches to berries. Okay. So this is kind of smart. He wants to get rid of as much of this risky economy, and then he can fall back to farmlands if it gets really bad. Leenock's goal right now is the quickest Castle Age possible, especially after Chart shows intensive aggression, right? He came in with Knights, which means Leenock understands that if he survives 4 or 5 minutes of this, he wins the game, more or less, because Chart won't be strong enough. Like, his timing is thrown so far off. This is why a lot of players choose to Castle Age rush, is because if you're up against a greedy opponent, like, you have to hit your timings. You have like a minute and a half to strike into the economy and do some damage against HRE. Otherwise, they're just going to reach their Knights. And although you got your Knights earlier than them, theirs are going to be better, right? Because they're going to be upgraded already. And you're going to be nowhere near a tech up because you used all your gold early to keep pushing out these early Knights. We'll get back off the gold line. Leenock still doesn't have the required surplus, though. He's going to be forced into a stable. This is rough as well. He should have been able to get a little bit more gold than this. He got slowed down, though, because he did go for wheelbarrows. I am a big fan of that. Look how strong you are right now. With the inspiration, look how much he's gathering. 21 being gathered by a villager before they go and drop off. With a 40% increased speed due to the Holy Inspiration. This is fantastic. A lot of players need to take note of this. I see a lot of HRE players that still don't get wheelbarrows. And it's such... It makes me want to rip my hair out. It's like, why? What are you doing this for? You go from gathering and holding 14 to holding 21 when you put these two together. It is an insane boost in your economy. It's especially cool in these situations around like the gold, right? Like say he picks that gold and he has to run back and he banks. Like think about how much they're going to be collecting, right? Like if you have to go somewhere more risky and you have to run away, like or say your mining camp gets burned and you have to run all the way back, you're going to get a more efficient return. So Leenock, Spearman chasing the Knights on the back. The Knights are looking for a wrap in. Oh, they slow down. Char's not paying attention. He has to draw this one away. Archer's trying to stab in. They'll pick off 1 or 2 of the villagers, but they can't go deeper courtesy of the TC. And now Horsemen are coming out. This is the counter he was looking for. He doesn't care about the Knights. If he gets on top of the Archers, even if the Knights then engage him, they can't hang around due to the Spearmen. This is the perfect composition to hold back what Chart's doing. And that's why I felt a little bit uncomfortable with the double archery range 1 stable. He's left himself no wiggle room to scale because he never went for those hunting cabins we talked about. It's still 0 additional hunting cabins. Only this initial one he used to build into the scouts. And the other issue he has is if he's not scaling there and he's burning through all these deer so quickly, things could become very uncomfortable very fast at this rate. He has a finite amount of resources to try and end this game with, and he isn't going to have the quality that his opponent soon will, because Leenock, he almost has the required amount of gold now. Also love how fashionable some Civ's horses look. But they look pretty. Nice little coat for the horses. I'm easily amused, I'm aware. Up to 4 horsemen now. Wrapping around, scouting out. This is perfect. He's going to snipe out a lot of archers as they run in. This is actually a really cool play. Because you're nowhere near strong enough. Chart, he's trying to build a ram now. He only has 10 archers. He needs to get a lot more out. And Leenock, he doesn't see. Okay, he sees him now. He still hasn't charged out, though. He'll just have to intercept the new load. Ram is coming. More horsemen being built. And there's the tech up underway. Regnick's Cathedral being built. 6 spearmen. Lots of time to buy. Remember, you are the HRE. It is 1 ram, and you have emergency repairs. So anything he targets, you can fix. In fact, if I was you, I'd sacrifice the house, wait for him to engage on a bigger, tankier target like the Ark and Chapel. There we go. Horsemen just stationed here. No way through. Doubles up the knight production with a secondary stable. They take a long time, though, remember. 35 seconds. There we go. Baron Ram begins work on the Ark and Chapel. Worst case scenario. Because if you're forced to do this, by the time you get it low, emergency repairs. He needs to get in quicker. And here it is. He sees this being built at Regnick's Cathedral. How do you get close enough, though? It's so hard. And the horsemen are now here. And he's going to force you away. And this just feels pain. Like, this is pure pain right now. Like, you invested a lot in this. This is so much of your economy invested in the early aggression. And while I love to see early aggression, it has to be stemmed with an opportunity, right? Like, what are you gaining from this? You're gaining all this ground. You're pressuring the HRE player in. You never utilize this. I really think the hunting cabins would have changed this game entirely for the better if you're Chart. And instead, I'd say Leenock got a good side of this. With this much investment from his opponent into pressure early, the fact he still gets the Regnick's Cathedral up by 11 minutes, and now he's able to go out and gather these relics, you're feeling pretty damn good about this game. And your opponent has a finite amount of knights to try and defend so many archers at this stage. You can just keep building the horsemen. Oh, wow, he's actually engaging the knight. He needs to be careful. Remember, the horsemen move away quicker. The knights, although they get that 1.94 putting them above the horsemen, it doesn't last forever. Eventually, they lose the charge formation, and you just run away. And now you've left your archers on the front alone. So 2 or 3 horsemen are going to run you through. Instead, it's going to be knights now being produced. This is dangerous. You misplayed this entirely. A lull on the side. Going to force the scouts away. And Spearman will move to guard that now. So Prellate's going to return that. And that's perfect. As he banks that, the knights are coming out. It's only archers here now. Really big mistake being made. And it looks like Chart is going to try to regroup now as he backs off of the knights. But he's got so many archers exposed on the front. And look at this. Oh my god, they move through! And he's losing a lot. He's trying to prevent the bank from the Prelate. But he's too late to do so. And a second one coming as well. If you get 2 in here, if Chart sees this, Moral's going to be in the ground, right? It's just going to sink. You're not going to be comfortable. The villager push out as well. Whoa, that's really greedy. Leenock going to lose a lot of villagers for this. Didn't even get rid of the ram. Prelate trying to bank. Will be able to make it in. Even a villager guarding him for some reason. A little bit of panic. Leenock just trying to secure what he can. We'll get a second relic in, and now you're very cozy. 600 GPM. Gives you plenty to push out knights. You could push out from 2, actually almost 3 stables off the back of that, as long as you have the food to support. And at that stage, what are you doing as Chart to counter this? You're doing nothing. Instead, look at the horseman! He goes in on the eco line! Chart, it's 40 to 26. Leenock took a heavy hit, but he can afford to with the efficiency of the Holy Inspiration. What you cannot afford to do as Chart is lose villagers as well. We'll chase the last few away. Still a lot of his villagers protected, gathering underneath the TC, but he's running out of resources there, and soon it will be dangerous. The knight count is going to start to escalate very quickly. Rams again. Chart, keeping up the aggression. Knight count right now is only 2. Leenock, he didn't sort his food. It's a problem. And that's why he's building the marketplace. He needs to trade. He needs troops right now. He can't keep losing villagers like this. And he snuck out. I like this sneak out. This is risky in most games. This type of game, it's not at all. Chart is always looking at your base. He's never looking for pocket expansions. Because he needs to address the Regnick's Cathedral now. Knights. Trying to get in position. Looking for a plan here. And it's going to be Langsneck coming out. This is a bit risky. Gap closing can be hard. It's a lightly armored unit, right? And you're up against a decent amount of archers. So that initial gain, if you can get there, the cleave damage is going to be huge, but you have to reach. And there's the second stable now being dropped. Blacksmith as well. And he's trading. And this is what we needed. If this happened a bit sooner, this isn't even close. But this is what's given Chart the edge. And now he's on the Regnick's Cathedral. You've still got the emergency repairs. It hasn't been used so far, but it's because he's saving it for this. He doesn't want to surrender over the Cathedral. Meanwhile, Knights baiting them in. There's 12 early Knights here. While you have the quality advantage, you need the quantity or something comparative at least. He's looking to upgrade so much here. This is where you're most vulnerable, and that's why Chart is pushing as much as he can. He kind of likes to go later. He understands that there's so many things that you need to upgrade if you're HRE, right? You need to get the stables down, you need to get the Knights out, they're pricey. If you want to go Man-at-Arms, remember they start off at early Man-at-Arms, so you have to upgrade them as well. Spearmen need upgrades as well. That's why you feel confident about this many Knights. You have to find value now. Leenock currently PopCap, needs to fix that right now. He can't produce units right now, he hasn't even noticed. Emergency repairs to try and keep this up. Villagers looking to move under the baton rams. Holds him in a choke point. Means that he can't get full value out of his Knight count. He moves in towards the economy underneath the TC. Rams have been forced away though, and he's clustered in on both sides now. This might actually backfire quite quickly for Chart. The quality is holding. Think how many of these are actually scouts. 2 scouts remaining, 10 Knights, half damage, and only 15 archers. He needs to back away. The TC's making the difference here. He's going to be backed off. Eco count. Now Chart up at 47. 26 for Leenock. Leenock not really losing that many villagers anymore. Those Knights, they will not heal that damage at all. More villagers being sniped. Nice move by Chart. Gets a few additionals. That bought enough time. Emergency repairs is going to be there again after this baton ram gets the stable low. That's going to allow him to build even more Knights. These Knights that are starting to become quite the big problem. 230 and 36 damage on the initial charge compared to the 190 and 29 damage. This is hurting a lot. Second baton ram being built. Heavy investment. Leenock looking to ride in. Goes in. Gets engaged. Lance and move away. Didn't actually get his charge off though, so just took a lot of damage on one of the Knights. Takes them in once more. Man-at-Arms now coming out. Needs something cost-effective. His issue right now is he's trading a lot of gold for food. He can't afford both gold and food. And he's trying to get the additional wood so that you can actually at least put down more farms. Remember that he's running out of food back here. There's a finite amount of berries left. And that's when it gets dangerous. So Leenock needs to find a way of putting a dent in his opponent. He's going to be chased by Knights. But these Knights, although they're slightly outnumbered, the quality is on your side. So Leenock is going to take a good trade here. Look how quickly they all die. And he's not microing them correctly. They get all of these Knights low, but all of Leenock's Knights are going to survive. They'll keep on chasing. And that makes you weak on the siege as well. There's barely any Knights left here to hold. Puts you down to 8. Count at 4 for your opponent. And a few man-at-arms, and that should be good enough. Emergency repairs is still on cooldown. The stable might be raised to the ground. Not able to actually hard commit to defend it. But he has interception force now. These few Knights are causing a little bit of a conundrum, and that's why Chart has to go back for the Spearmen. Spearmen that will do well against the remaining Knights. We'll actually get a good trade there. Leenock committing onto the ram, almost getting rid of it. Has to back away. The pressure doesn't let up. You have to be concerned with where the bounce back is at this rate for Leenock. Leenock needs more people on wood. He does it now. And that's why, because he needs to actually replace the stable he lost. He needs to actually keep that double production up. He knows he can afford it with double relic banked in the Regnitz Cathedral due to the trade. Even with the rates being sucky right now, right? Like, he's trying to buy the food in. It's costing 138 gold at least. But he doesn't really have much of a say at this point. And this is a good situation. This is what you wanted. If he goes in the Arcade Chapel, emergency repair saves you every time. A little bit early, could have waited a little bit longer, but Baron Rams are going to have a hard time. And they're both heavily injured. He never brought a villager up to repair this. He could have afforded to as well. He has double the eco count. Here we go. Once more into the breach. And yeah, there's that villager. Okay, yeah, Chart, he definitely agrees. Trying to get him repaired. However, these Knights, they could cause quite the nuisance. Emergency repairs, still 30 seconds out. You really don't want to lose the Arcane Chapel. You don't have much of a food economy right now, but it's keeping it up. The woodline as well is getting boosted. A lot is getting boosted regularly by this. These Knights, instead, they actually charge in towards Chart's economy. He's trying to stunt the growth. An interesting idea by Leenock, but there's just so many troops here. He baits them away, and now it's just archers though on this side, so you can run out with a few man-at-arms and 1 or 2 Knights. He can do a lot of damage here. And emergency repair's not going to be there in time. One of the Rams has been fully repaired as well. Knight's going to chase onto the villager. Spearman moving across to try and deal with the Knight, but the man-at-arms means they have the advantage. They are slow, but the archers aren't that much quicker. So they can do some damage. Although it's on fire, it's not dead yet. He might be able to save it. Emergency repairs right now. If he gets it out, Leenock can keep it up. And the man-at-arms count is getting a little bit dangerous. Up to 9 now. And Chart has no solution. Remember, he's still locked in the feudal. He cannot tech up. He never has the gold. And while the Knights are decent, they don't like facing off against man-at-arms. While there's not bonus damage coming against them compared to spears, it's very hard to get through them with 6 range resistance and 4 melee resistance. And you can see they're doing decent damage as well. 14 per strike. These Knights are suffering a bit. And it looks like he's repelled him. Leenock has Chart on the retreat now. He keeps backing up and forfeiting more ground. He's looking to actually regain control here in the center of the map. But the question is at what cost? How many troops are you losing? Look at these Knights wrapping around the back. A back away again. That small raiding force. Leenock understands he can't engage right on the front unless he's baiting his opponent into a bad fight to begin with. And that's what he does there. He drags attention with a man-at-arms and he gets a reasonable trade. Number advantage is still there for Chart, but it's not as big as it was. And he'll resume the siege. More man-at-arms being built. Charge in. Early Knights, not lasting long here. Keep in mind, it's not just the health increase, it's the fact that they've got less melee resistance than they should, right? Compared to this Knight, up at 5. 5! As well as the additional 40 health. Baton rams in. Emergency repairs. Leenock. Leenock hasn't used it! Okay, he's forfeiting the Ark and Chapel. That is a whoopsie-daisy and a half right there. He seemed to have forgotten about it. I see so many players at the highest level suffer with this. Emergency repairs is fantastic. It's so powerful. You have to remember it's there consistently, though. And he failed to do so. Pays the price. Loses a lot of efficiency, and now he's going to fall back behind his base with new farmlands. Chart now building the third batter ram. You can see he's gaining some foothold, but Leenock is slowly reaching that mass, right? Mainly because your mass isn't scaling anymore. Chart's taking unfavorable fights. The trades aren't good. His economy is better, but he needs to make sure he keeps the military count up. And he is reaching a wonky point. I'm a bit concerned for Chart because he's close to the transition, right? He needs to go hard into farmlands, and that's going to weaken him. And a small group of Knights like this could do a lot of damage if they catch you off guard. And they might because you're focusing on the siege. Emergency repair to buy more time. New Knights coming out. More man-at-arms as well. I love the fact he just doesn't go Spearman. Like we said, like it's not just the fact that they don't brace, they're bugged against cavalry. It's the fact that you are up against this many archers, right? You just don't want to be going into spears, even though they counter out Knights really well. There's the raid in. Forces you off the economy again. Knights are going to give their lives. They'll get traded out. But it slows you down again. Chart needs to build up a surplus, if anything. Now into the racks. Bring down another building. Leenock. How is he going to hold this? New racks going down. Moving towards the TC. They need to be careful. There is a decent amount of man-at-arms and Knights here. And you can see it's just a small contingent. 3 or 4 Knights at a time, and then mainly man-at-arms is what you're looking for. And he has built into the mace now. So a lot of extra damage coming out. Remember, that gives you bonus damage up against the Knights. So you're doing 20 damage per strike. It makes it very cost-efficient to trade with them. Leenock, this is so scorched earth, right? Like, the amount of territory keeps surrendering, but the fact he's still holding on, he builds the racks on the north side now. Understanding the weakness of Chart is how static and immobile his army is. Emergency repairs to save the house. Forces an engagement right now. Man-at-arms get a good spread. Villagers go in for the burn. That's a lot of villagers, though. That's most of your economy. Leenock below the 20 mark now compared to 56 for Chart. But back up again. And Chart, has he finally done this? It's looking like he might. They'll push through. They'll overrun them. And it looks like Chart, although it was one hell of a slog, it was slowly moving this way. And Leenock, despite his best attempts to recover it, he never found a way. He's going to be forced in the GG. And Chart able to get 1 point on the board for Japan. God damn, did he have to work hard for that point, though. That did not come easily. Leenock, scorched earth policy, refuses to give anything up for free. Not one step back policy, as he time and time again seems to somewhat repel. There were moments there where it looked like he was evening up the numbers and maybe drawing it back. But you got to give a lot of credit to Chart. He held strong. He pushes back against Leenock. Leenock is unable to actually close that one out. And I think that was actually the final game, by the way, of that series. At least from what I can see on Chart's side. There might have been other solo games being played. So I tried to find details on it. Apologies for not being 100% accurate in that there wasn't a Wikipedia page or anything up. But that was all the games we had. I think it's possible that there was another side game going on that I couldn't catch because everyone else's profiles anyway were private. But overall, in the main series, it ends up being 3-1. So for those wondering what else we had, if you just watched this as the last one, if you caught this at the end, there's definitely amazing matches to go check in on. I think actually, especially game 2 and 3, the 3v3s were fantastic. You should watch those. And then the 1v1 to start it off between Kiwi and Chart was pretty fun to watch itself. So make sure you go check those back on the channel. There will be a link to the playlist, so you can definitely check on those. But thank you for watching, folks. It has been a pleasure. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you cycle through some more videos, because I'm sure we've got some for everyone. If you're a Beastie fan, if you're a Viper fan, you know, if you're a Chart fan, there's more of him. There's more of everyone, because we cover plenty of high-level action here. A lot of the top 100s always featuring. So make sure you cycle through, see what you enjoy, and thank you for watching.